Final edition of the Fred McNair radio show for the regular season. Coming up, we'll recap the Jackson State game. We'll talk all about it. We'll break it down, what went right and what went sideways, and just kind of put a capper on this season. It's been interesting to say the least, and we'll talk about it with Braves head football coach Fred McNair. Give us a call, 601-877-6595. You can text a question, 601-348-7254. You can tweet a question. I'm on Twitter, Tall Man Radio, on Facebook as well. And a lot to talk about, a lot of different concepts, postseason football, SWAC championship game, FAMU, SWAC member in the FCS playoffs, the SWAC in the FCS playoffs. Yes, we'll talk about that. We'll get Coach McNair's thoughts as our good friend Willie Simmons and his team is in the postseason as they'll take on Southeast Louisiana coming up on Saturday. So a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack, and a lot to look forward to as we get ready for 2022. The Fred McNair Show will start after this 1-minute timeout here on the Braves Sports Network.
COVID-19 has changed how we stomp the yard and feel the beat. How we stroll. How we step. How we show our pride. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts. As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it? Is it free?
It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your family.
Glad you can join us here on the Braves Sports Network, 91.7 WPRL and WPRL.org. WMIS WTYJ in Natchez, 1240 AM, 97.7 FM, NatchezRadio.com. And glad you can join us here on the Braves Sports Network. And we're live on the WPRL Facebook page. Our video producer, Cedric Tillman, on the radio side of the house, the one and only Jamario Brooks. And we appreciate the Alcorn State University Foundation. As you can see here, the ASU Network logo. We appreciate the foundation for donating some product to us. Nice logo here with the Braves, Alcorn. They've been working with us for several years. Marcus Ward, the executive director there, providing us the product, shirts, caps, all that stuff. So we appreciate it. Also, he's the executive director of the foundation and vice president of institutional advancement. Glad you can join us, folks, one and all. And I hate to say it, folks, this is the final show of the regular season. For the last 6 years, we've been gearing up for a SWAC championship game, gearing up for a Celebration Bowl appearance. And unfortunately, that is not the case, as the Braves lost to Jackson State on Saturday, and by virtue of that, Prairie View A&M wins the Western Division, and they will take on Jackson State next Saturday, December 4th in Jackson. Braves head football coach Fred McNair joining us. Coach McNair, good evening to you. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Charles.
Coach, it's tough. You know, we're used to having these shows and kind of gearing up, putting a capper on the regular season and getting our tickets ready for the SWAC championship game, which, you know, prior to, it's been at our place, you know, up until obviously the spring, and just used to that, used to having some postseason football and Alcorn football in postseason. But not the case this go-round. Tough loss to Jackson State. I thought the team poured a lot into it. Close game, and Jackson State kind of pulled away. Talk a little bit about that.
It was. I think that the kids played extremely hard throughout the whole course of the ball game. You know, there's no quitting in this team and this coaching staff that we have here. You know, the biggest thing is I want to thank those seniors that performed for us this whole season. In a timely matter of them getting ready to play and being leaders to the underclassmen as well, Charles. They did an outstanding job throughout the whole year of picking those young guys up and getting them to understand the process of what we're trying to do to win ball games. I do want to thank those guys, and especially this coaching staff, throughout everything that we've been through this whole season. With all the rain delays and lighting delays, lights out, and all the things that's been that's been kind of a hamper to us throughout this season. You know, and the coaching staff they work extremely hard and doing the things to get the young men better each and every day at practice. So first of all, I just want to thank those guys for giving their all in the process of this football team this year and the things that we were able to accomplish. Some of the great things that we was able to accomplish. So just love those guys to death, and hate to see those seniors go. You know, and in terms of that, I'll probably have my last team meeting on tomorrow, just to kind of talk to the guys about the things that, especially the seniors that's leaving. You know, the opportunity that will be presented to them in their lifetime up to come. So, and the underclassmen, how we're going to get ready for next year. In terms of preparation. So we got a lot of things to talk about and discuss in terms of this team and what lies ahead of us and what to expect from us as coaching staff and all those things that's been given. You know, and the main thing, you know, just trying to keep the guys around that want to be here too as well, Charles. You know, the transfer portal is real big these days. So those guys that want to hit the transfer portal, you know, I try to talk to those guys as well. So but the biggest thing is, you know, we done everything that we could to be successful this year as a coaching staff and as senior players and this ball club. I mean, we put forth a lot of effort. No matter what the outcome was, you know, we always put forth the effort in getting things done the right way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of things you can control. Some things you could not control. Lightning delay. You couldn't control the lights on your side going out at South Alabama. As they say, control the controllables. And the things that you could control, you know, you obviously were pleased with how they were to handle things.
Oh, most definitely, Charles, and they did an outstanding job of being patient and, you know, in spite of no distraction and, you know, just believing that, you know, we can get the job done under any circumstance. I think they realized that you know, that we can get it done no matter what. So these kids had a great attitude towards things. The coaching staff was really good about things and making sure that I'm staying together and keeping this program to where it's at and been on the winning end, Charles. You know, we still had a winning season. You know, finished 6-5 is not where we want to be, but you know, it's still a winning season. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, just being able to be satisfied to where we have come due to the start of the season. So we as coaches and players understand that. You know, it's now time to evaluate. First of all, evaluate myself. You know, as a head coach, and in terms of, you know, the things that I could have did better for this team, for this coaching staff, for these players that's playing it, and also evaluate the staff. You know, it start with me and the staff. So we have to make sure that we're doing things right. To make sure that we're doing right by the young men that we're mentoring. So other than that, you know, we're not happy, but you know, it's just what we have, Charles. So this is where we at.
Yeah, the fire, my guess is, with you and the rest of the staff, the fire, I'm sure, is burning even brighter now that you're on the other side of the fence. For 6 years in a row, we've been on the championship side of the fence. It's not a good feeling. If you're a competitor, this is not a good feeling right now, is it?
Oh, no, you come a time sometimes, Charles, you know, when you always kind of like when you go to the store with mom and she always buy what you want and things of that nature, you get spoiled. and I think in terms of that, and that's where we are, fans as well. You know, we just used to win and being in this setting, and all of a sudden now that we're not, you know, we have a bitter taste in our mouth about how things went this season. So, you know, I'm gonna stay firm with what I believe in, Charles. I think that what we've done with this program has been phenomenal in terms of going out and executing, playing what we had on the field. You know, of course, we have to put 11 on there. No matter what 11 going, we have to put 11, Charles. So. But other than that, you know, just the thing is that, yeah, we used to being on the other side, you know, and now we're on the other side of it now. So now we have to just understand to what we got to do to get back, you know, and get back to that championship form as we always stated. So that's our ultimate goal as coaches, and that's what we firmly believe in, and that's what we're going to do to get back.
Well, let's look at the Jackson State game. We'll kind of go through it. Obviously, a low-scoring game. I mean, my initial read on it, Coach, the defense played lights out. You look at Jackson State's scores. They had 3 drives of 70-plus yards, 75 to 77 yards on the 3 touchdowns that they had. So we had to make them drive the ball down the field. I thought the defense made them earn a lot of what they were able to get. So just let's start there, because we know this high-powered Jackson State offense can score some points, led by the freshman quarterback, Shedeur Sanders. How would you assess the defensive work on Saturday?
They played extremely well, Charles. And I thought that making them drive and earning what they get, Charles, not giving up the big plays, just helping them sustain those drives. But also, too, we want to get off the field on third down. I thought the defense played extremely well in terms of doing that. So the biggest thing was to get those guys to make those long drives, to see them make a mistake somewhere, down the line. So, but those drives there was timely, and get offense time to rest, and vice versa. We always want to give defense time to rest too when we get the ball. So in terms of that, I thought they played extremely well, extremely hard. The effort, no doubt, the effort was there. So those guys played extremely hard.
So we were tested right off the bat, Coach. When you look at what we had to do, we got the ball at the 25-yard line to start. Stafford Anderson, a 3-yard rush, and then Harper sacked. Just talk about play number 2 there, because we were behind the chains. We were at a 3rd and 14 at that point.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, Charles. We always want to stay ahead of the change, and meaning getting in those long situations. We know what they were going to do. We got in 3rd and long. They was going to bring the house to us and put a little pressure on us. So just getting that sack and understanding we got to get rid of the football at some point. So other than that, I think that offensively, Felix played pretty good. I'm not going to say well, but I thought he did some great things during the course of the game that kind of helped the offense out in terms of making plays.
All right, so on a 4th down and 4, a 62-yard punt by Beauplan. Warren Newman, ball got by him and returned it 40 yards. So Jackson State had the football at the 47. We've talked about it last week, how special teams, how this is what they do in terms of punt and kickoff returns, and Newman a 40-yard return there, and the ball got by him. He broke down, picked it up. Talk about that play.
Well, I think it was a punt that you can talk about out kicking your coverage, and that's one of those things that we made happen. We got kind of lack of days on the coverage, and we didn't fully cover down. When we saw the ball go by, we kind of eased up, and that's when we saw the opportunity to just go and pick the ball up and other than just going down and covering the kick the way we should have.
And so Jackson State got it in good field position, Coach, but again, the defense got off the field right there. Despite the negatively on the 41-yard punt return, we were able to get them off the field there.
That's exactly right, and that's what we've been waiting on, Charles. The defense, like I said, they really played well this ball game, and in terms of getting off the field on 3rd down.
All right, so it was scoreless at the end of the first quarter. So let's look at the second quarter as we got the lead 3-0 as we went 10 plays and 52 yards and got the field goal there, Coach. So we got some points in that second quarter. Assess the first quarter, because it's kind of like a boxing match where just kind of feeling each other out. Jackson made a big play on the punt return. We're able to get off the field and just back and forth. How would you assess the first 15?
I think more in terms of, each team kind of knew the things about each other. So kind of like you kind of said like a boxing match, kind of filling each other out. But at the same time, we're trying to score, but they just won't be in. But I think the first quarter was a quarter that was played, and I think everybody's just trying to see who's gonna make a mistake first.
And through that first quarter was scoreless, and then we got the lead 3-0. And so just talk about that, putting that 52-yard drive together. And you had a situation, Coach, there in which you got the field goal, but you had a 4th down and 1, and we were thinking, well, game like this, you roll the dice and go, but you decided to take the field goal, to take the points there. Talk about that decision.
There was a pretty good defense up front, Charlie. I think all 4 of those guys was transfer guys from FBS schools. So, you're looking at that, they were pretty stout in the middle. And in terms of what we was playing with on offense, no doubt that, we started a freshman left tackle, a second-year tackle from JUCO. We had a walk-on guard at the left guard and a walk-on center. So you kind of put that together, and you're kind of like, well, this is what we want to do. We were missing Will Reddy, and normally, right in the middle is where we try to pick up our short yardage situations from. So, but just in terms of thinking of what I want to go for it or where I want to kick a field goal, I think at that point, just getting points on the board with a stiff defense that Jackson State had, that meant a lot to what we were trying to do as a team.
So we led 3-0, and it held up until the final 8 seconds of the second quarter, and actually we had them backed up, and a penalty kept the drive going, in which they were able to get a touchdown in the final 8 seconds of the second quarter. And we saw that against Bethune-Cookman, is unfortunately off and on the Southern game, in which we had teams off the field where they settle for 3 at least, and then we keep them on the field via a defensive penalty, and boom, next thing you know, they get in the end zone, and that was another case.
Yeah, you're right. You're just giving up the big play charge is always something that we try to prevent in terms of what we're doing on defense.
So talk about that touchdown. Shadur Sanders, Keith Corbin, 3-yard touchdown pass, and that capped off a 77-yard drive.
Yeah, just understanding of what we had, Charles. We had, coming out of a timeout, we had 12 men on the field for that penalty. We stopped them on third down there, and hopefully they kick a field goal. But we got a flag for too many men on the field. In terms of that, we give them a extra down, and they come back and they scored. Off of some adjustment that should have been made with communication in the secondary. So we failed there. They scored that touchdown from the 3.
Yeah, Cedric Tillman asked you about that coming into the locker room about that penalty. We were wondering about that, and you said yes, that was a penalty. That did happen.
Yeah, it did. I mean, we shouldn't have happened, but kids got kind of confused in terms of personnel. They're going into the ball game, so we kind of bossed that one up and. Got a penalty on that play that gave them a extra down, and were able to go back in and score a touchdown off that.
So it was 7-3 at the half. Fred McNair, low-scoring game. Game very much up for grabs at that point. Opportunities. You talk about penalties, and even in the third quarter, we look ahead here in a second, but the fact that Jackson State had 5 penalties on one of their offensive drives that kept pushing them back, I think, 2 or 3 in a row, false starts, and just kind of pushing them back behind the chains. But 7-3 at the half. What was your conversation to your team there?
It's a great ball game, Charles. We knew it was going to be a game like this. It's going to be a battle. Just to figure out who's going to stay strong long was going to be the outcome. So, going into half, and just like I told the guys, we got 30 minutes to play, and let's just go out and continue to fight, and continue to play hard, continue to play with a lot of effort. And I thought they did the whole ball game.
7-3 at the half. Let's go to the phone lines. And, of course, Marquise, one of the first ones on deck. Good evening, Marquise. How are you?
How you doing, Charles?
Doing well. Coach
Free, how you doing?
Marquise, I'm doing good, man. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. Well, I think this is our bad show.
Oh, yeah. This is it, man. Hopefully everything will get right, and we'll kick this thing off 2022, man.
Yeah, but this is the question I want to ask. Who are you bringing back?
Well, I'm going to try to bring everybody back, Marquise. I'm going to try to just find some more guys to go along with the guys we got and kind of put the pieces together, man. We're going to lose 17 seniors this year. So that's a great number of guys we have to replace. And, hopefully some of the guys that we got here, they'll be able to come in and step up to the plate and be able to play for us in 22. So, but now we just got to go out on the road and do a whole lot of recruiting.
Yeah, and who your back gonna be?
Who's that?
Who your quarterback?
Well, we got 4 in the waiting room right now, Marquise, and Trey Lawrence. He's pretty good, and Quinn. He's a pretty good quarterback too. So it'll be a quarterback battle throughout the spring. The way things shaking up right now, Marquise.
Okay.
All right, Marquise. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your participation and calling in throughout the year. All right, that's Marquise joining us here. We're going to take a break here. We'll look at the third quarter action, fourth quarter action. There's a lot to unpack here, and so get ready for the offseason. And Fred McNair talked about it. In years past, we've had a situation where our quarterback has had reps going into them being handed the keys to the vehicle. It's going to be different this go around. So we'll talk more about that. The quarterback position. We'll break down each unit in the offseason. 17 seniors played their final game on Saturday. Time to retool, reload, and rebuild, and get ready to make another run at this thing in 22. We'll talk all about it when we return here on the Fred McNair Show.
You don't fight fair, so we'll just fight harder.
We didn't come here to play around.
You're going down.
Honestly,
I hate you.
I'm stronger than you.
I'm more determined than you.
We're going to beat you, cancer.
Because the American Cancer Society is on our team.
And together, we're unstoppable.
My name is John Calipari.
I'm Roy Williams.
I'm Jim Boeheim.
I'm Tubby Smith.
And I'm a coach versus cancer.
Can I get the now bar, please?
$1.
Have a good one.
Got it.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Let me get a now bar.
Sure. $1.
Appreciate you.
Got it.
All right, back to the phone lines. Gwen joining us here on this Monday night. Good evening, Gwen. How are you?
Fine, Miss Dedman. How you doing?
Doing well.
Coach McNair, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Miss Gwen. How you?
I'm doing. Yeah, I just want to commend you. Although we didn't get it this time, but you gave us 2 championships already, and they played well. And I just want to wish you the best and the team the best and your staff. And we're going to continue to be brave, strong.
Thank you for your support, Miss Gwen.
All righty, then.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Gwen, for calling in all year long. We appreciate your support and just continue support. Thank you. All right, that's Gwen calling in. All right, Coach, so that third quarter, we got a touchdown, Coach. Kavante Key, 50-yard pass from Felix Harper. That was a 3-play, 75-yard drive. You know, one of the things I noticed, Coach, throughout the course of the game, we were working their corners. Juan Anthony was getting some stuff done one-on-one in the first half. Got a couple of pass interference calls there. I thought we really wanted to work the edges pretty well, and I thought we did a pretty decent job, and that's how Key got loose for 50 yards.
Actually, it wasn't Key. It was Mr. Hunt. They were the same jersey number. Charge. That was Hunt. They caught the touchdown pass. Did a great job, Felix, getting the ball out to him. Did a great job on his route running, and he catches the ball and scored there. You know, and the biggest thing was we had a lot of great explosive plays. You know, and I think Coach Phillips said it best. You know, it was just on the wrong side of the 50. You know, we had the coming out part where we had explosive plays. If those explosive plays on the other side, and then return, we're in good shape. But we were happy to see our receivers stand up and take a stand to where they was making plays on the ball like none ever, Charles. So we was excited about that and what they was doing.
All right, so you talk about Hunt. You talk about the receivers that we've got coming back. You know, obviously you got Pringle, who had a great game against Prairie View. You know, just talk a little bit about Hunt as they're trying to get working him in.
Actually, he's a transfer from Rutgers. He's gonna be a dynamic receiver for us, and the only one that's not coming back is Pringle. We have everybody else coming back at the receiving core, you know, but it has to be the only one. That's the only receiver that we have not coming back. So we're excited about where we are in terms of the receiver mark, but we will continue to look for more guys at that spot. You know, we can't ever have enough. Charge. You know, the biggest thing is we just have to make sure that we putting all the pieces in the right spots and put them in the right place to make it work. So I think Coach Phillip has done a great job with those receivers in terms of where we at, and continue to work with those guys.
And then it was a 10-10 game at that point, and we talked about it before the break. There was one drive in which Jackson State, I think, had 5 penalties on one drive. And to talk about trying to play through that, obviously we had them behind the chains, and they were able to kind of squeeze out of that a little bit.
Yeah, they did, and I thought that was going to be the drive that they was going to give it up to us in terms of giving us the ball back and letting us go down and score and going up ahead. The momentum swing was never on our side, so-called, Charles. We thought we had them in some sense, and then we give up a play to give them a first down and that kind of stuff. But, you know, I thought, like I said, that, you know, the defense still played extremely well under the circumstances that they played, Charles. They gave a whole lot of effort, and they were very physical up front.
So the touchdown there by Jackson State, Shane Hooks, it was 17-10 at the end of the third quarter. So, Coach, still very much a ball game. You know, again, it's just a tussle. The game really slowed down. I mean, there was a lot of scanning going on both sides. When we talk about scan, quarterback addresses the line of scrimmage, and then there's a change in the play call on the sideline. We call it scan. Jackson State did a lot of scanning, a lot of changing up, and so did we on the offensive side of the ball. So the chess match was on.
You got to put the team in the best position, the best play to run against a stout defense, and that's what they was doing too. They was checking and trying to figure out the right play to go into what we was trying to run on defense. So it was a lot of it. The game was very slow, and that's why it was such a slow down and wasn't a fast paced game. Because each team at the time, didn't want to make mistakes, didn't want to get into a bad play or either a worse play than what they had going on. So I think Coach Rat did an outstanding job of calling the plays during the course of the game, and it's something we've been doing the whole season, with some missing pieces up front. He did what he could do in terms of making sure we got a good play that fits their defense.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Kermit calling in on this Monday night. Good evening, Kermit. How are you?
Good evening, Charles. How you doing? And Coach Mack, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Kermit. How you doing, man?
All right. Hey, Coach, I wanna just share a quote with you right quick, and I think this quote that a friend of mine shared with me, it fits us so well as Alcorn supporters, and it's from Nick Saban. It says, "When you win all the time, people lose respect for winning. They just expect it." And I think that kind of fits us as alumni. We've won so much the last several years that we just expect every time we're going to go on the field, we're going to win a ball game. And it just always doesn't come out that way. So I just want to ask you, just from the standpoint of how your team is looking right now, do you feel that you're in a reloading mode or a rebuilding mode or a hybrid mode as you look to next year?
Anytime you lose 17 players, Cameron, you always seem to you find yourself in there. But as far as depth-wise, I think we're looking for more depth than what we got to play with on both sides of the ball, and that's one of the things that we have a staff meeting tomorrow morning that I'm going to see our needs and what we need to recruit in terms of making sure that we have depth in those positions. I think that in terms of that was kind of was a low side of it this year. We go into the season with a lot of depth on both sides of the ball, and then we get banged up, during the course of a year, and then we fall a little short for the last few ball games without having depth. We had a lot of guys that didn't even play the whole season. Played 2 or 3 games, and that was it. So in terms of depth and what we're trying to do, you're always in a rebuilding mode anytime you lose a number of players that we lost at 17. So, but anytime, we have a chance to go out and recruit, we're always trying to find the best player to want to be here for this university standpoint. So also too, we, it's a coin toss to where you want to say you're rebuilding, but you're not. But at the same time, we still got to find some more players for depth wise.
All right, Kermit.
All right, Coach. Well, I know you're gonna get us back there.
Yes,
so
sir.
I look forward to it.
We will be working hard too.
All right, Kermit. We appreciate your support all year long and calling in and supporting the Fred McNair Show. We appreciate it. All right, Kermit joining us here, and that's the thing. He talked about just the expectation. Just so used to being here, just so used to being into the championship grind. Getting ready for a championship game, and it is tough. We're just kind of used to it, but it's one of those things where sometimes is retooling and reloading. Every program goes through it. Alabama goes through it. Clemson goes through it. It's just you stay up there so long, and then the margin for winning and losing, it's a fine line, as they say, between winning and we did win, but a fine line from getting to the championship game or not. It is a fine line. You talked about the depth. You talked about all the things that we've had to deal with. It is a fine line, isn't it?
It is, Charles. And the things that really unknown is that, a lot of people don't understand when you're coaching, and from a coaching standpoint, the things that you look for in players, and can they get the job done when they go on the field. Everybody during the course of the week can do all the things the right way, but when the lights turned on, Charles, it's totally different from that aspect of it. So, the stadium packed with 58,000 folks in it, just totally different thing. It is, and people ask me, was I nervous? I said, no, I'm not nervous. I'm more nervous about what the players thinking right now than me coaching the game. So the biggest thing is we just have to, the mindset of these young men is something different that we have to, as coaches, we have to stay focused on every day during the course of the week and make sure their mindset is the same as ours.
Jackson State did score a touchdown in that fourth quarter to make it 24-10, and that was the final score. Coach, just talking with different people over the last few days, did you feel like just in this particular game, and I was talking with somebody the last couple of days, just the whole grind of the season, what we dealt with early on, we all know what happened early on in the season and all the conversation there, the 8 road games, the injuries, and I know every team deals with injuries. Did you get a sense that maybe in this game that we just kind of, with everything we had to deal with, the weight of winning another division title and just not playing a lot of home games, that just kind of weighed on this team a little bit as you saw that second half against Jackson State? Because we were a play or two away, from putting a little pressure on Jackson State, just couldn't make that play or two that we normally would in other games.
I hear a lot of things, Charles, and just being around football a lot, you hear a lot of things that you kind of question what are they thinking in terms of that. People talk about, well, we were so rusty we didn't play in the spring. We never played in the spring, and we won 6 division titles. We won 2 SWAC championships. We never played in the spring. People talk about, well, if we played in the spring, we wouldn't be beat up like we are. Okay, Pine Bluff played in the spring. Alabama A&M played in the spring. Where are they? Mm-hmm. So you tell me now. So people talk about what we should have done. I think what we did was what we did. We never played in the spring, and we didn't. And we had to get our team ready to play for 2021 season, and that's what we did as coaches. We know the magnitude of this ball game. We know what it takes to win. And, we go out every day and practice these young men as hard as we can, and with a lot of stuff that they're dealing with, going to class and other issues too, Charles. So, and just to keep these kids motivated each and every day from July to November, that's always tough. And then when you talk about 8 road games, which we never made an excuse about it, we just load up and get ready to play, and we perform at the highest level, and that's what we call effort. And the young men never complain about anything. The coaches never complain about one thing, not to me, about the road trips or nothing like that. I mean, a lot of teams play better on the road. Unfortunately, we lost some games on the road that was close games, and that just it. We're gonna continue to fight. I mean, we're gonna go out and recruit as coaches and try to bring this thing back to terms. And we're in the West Division now, so it's no matter. It don't matter about what side of the division we're on. We just got to play football, and that's what we intend to do as coaches. Try to find some players that compete.
We'll take a break right here, and we'll be back after this. We got Jeffrey Harness waiting on the phone, so we'll get to him coming up, and we'll go inside the numbers of this game, and we'll look ahead, as Fred McNair's been talking about, to the offseason, some other stuff that we can talk about, some concepts and some guidance that the NCAA has come down with within the last month or so that will help in terms of the roster limit. So that's something that we've been waiting to talk about. Now we can, so we'll get to that. We'll get his thoughts on the SWAC championship game. We'll get his thoughts on FAMU playing Southeast Louisiana in the FCS playoffs. So a lot to unpack here. We'll get to it on the other side on the Fred McNair Show.
Once you get to Alcorn, it's kind of like there's a place for everybody. I fell in love with the people.
Overall, I love the experience, whether it's personal, whether it's in education. Anywhere you turn, there's always a helping hand.
People just going up and asking you, hey, are you new, are you lost, and taking an interest.
I would tell students if they want to be challenged, to learn and grow and be in an environment that is nurturing, in a place where they're not just a number, where people know you by name, then I would tell them to come to Alcorn.
All right, back to the phone lines we go. Jeffrey Harness joining us on this Monday night. Good evening. How you doing?
Hey, Charles. How you doing?
Doing well.
All right. Hey, Coach. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Mr. Harness.
All right. Listen, I just very briefly. You never know the character of yourself and the guys you're coaching until you undergo adversity. And I think that you all handle adversity this year first class. I went to the Time Glove game and I saw a lot of heart out there in that game. And those guys refused to quit. And I think this year, and especially that game, is a testament to this team. And at Rutherford University, and all Arcanites around the country. And so I just want to tip my head out to your coach on you guys' season. To be honest with you, I enjoy it just as much as the championship seasons because it was real life out there this year. It was real testament to your leadership, and it's testament to what you're made of. So I want to just tell you that, and the guys that play for you, play for Alcorn, that I think that this season shows the real measure of the type of guys we got out there playing football.
I so appreciate you, Mr. Hunt. Well said, man. Thank you for thank you for that. It was a great message, and I make sure that I will relay that to the team and the coaches tomorrow when we have our meeting. I really appreciate those kind words.
All right.
All right, thank you, Jeffrey Harness. We appreciate it. Jeffrey Harness calling in, former Brave, play wide receiver coach. So he knows what the grind is all about for sure. And former coach at Jefferson County High School in Fayette, Mississippi. He knows what the grind is all about.
Oh yeah, I tell you, Charles, and two, you always find a few out there that really understand from a coaching aspect of what the things that we go through. Trying to mentor these kids with different characters, with different issues, and trying to get them all to pull on one accord. You do have some people out there that really understand the grind of this situation in terms of coaching. So I really do commend and thank Mr. Harness for those words that he given tonight for this program.
We appreciate that call from Jeffrey Harness. All right, Coach, let's just some of my thoughts from the Jackson State game. You talked about a lot of it. Some of the thoughts in terms of us running the football, Coach. I thought we had success with Stafford Anderson, Nico Duffy, the ground and pound game. You felt, and I know you always are confident in the play calling. Do you feel like, do we stay with the run enough? Did we kind of get away from it? What are your thoughts on that?
I thought that we did a great job of mixing and matching the charge to where we kind of kept them off balance. And just looking on the film, if we stay on our feet for a couple plays, we could have big explosive plays. I know Leatherwood had one that he got tripped up on. If he don't get tripped up, he probably score off that one. That was from about the 40-yard line or so. But we I think the game was called exceptionally well in terms of what we could do and what Jackson State would allow us to do as well. So, they have a coach on the other side of the ball too. They watch film and they break us down as well as we break them down. So I think that what we did was kind of balanced in terms of running the ball and passing the ball.
And then the other aspect of it, the emotional part of it, you want to keep your emotions in check. It's hard in a rivalry game, as we all know, and that unfortunately happened. We had a player ejected in the game, and you want to keep your poise, keep your emotions in check in a big game like this.
Of course, you always talk to the players about big games like that, and things gonna be done, things gonna be said. So what? Line up and play football. It's happened that way. It's happened all over across the league, NFL. Players getting ejected and things of that nature. But you just got to keep the composure and play the game the way it's supposed to be played. I know it's hard fought games sometimes in situations like that, but we still got to keep our composure and not get thrown out of the game. And at that time and point, we still got a chance to at least get them in the field, let them kick a field goal, maybe get a block on it. So there's still a 7-point ball game. So, but that didn't happen, and we got one kicked out.
All right, so the Braves fall by the final score of 24-10. Emotional game, Coach. Hard-fought game. Your team hung in there. Following the game, the speech to your ball club in the locker room.
The biggest thing too, Charles, just to the seniors and just appreciate them for their leadership that they displayed the whole season, not giving up, not quitting, just toughing it out. These guys, and we lost to Southern, we lost to Bethune. These guys, they still fought. Charles. They come back and played hard against Prairie View. That's a testament of the kind of character and the kind of players they are. And, I told them about, the seniors. Your journey just beginning, you just not starting your career. Whatever you're going to do in life is just not getting started. So, but just understand the underclassmen, we got to come back and grind and get ready for 2022. And just appreciate those guys and the things they did throughout this whole year. That was the biggest speech. It wasn't about the game or nothing like that. It's about just getting them off to a right start after they leave here at Alcorn State University with their degree.
Was it emotional in the locker room?
It was, Charles. A lot of seniors and some of the underclassmen. I mean, if it didn't hurt, they should have cried. I mean, they did. But those guys took it to heart, man. They. And me trying to talk to them and kind of breaks me down a little bit just to see them the way they are and how they poured their heart into this season and the things they were able to accomplish throughout the whole year, no matter what they faced against. And but these guys put out the whole year and played hard, going to practice every morning, sometimes 7:30, things like that, and we had to do it. But no other way around it. Some of the guys, sometimes they get a chance to do breakfast in the morning time because of the schedule that we had, and that's just the way it was. But we somehow got them some stuff for breakfast some mornings, and but these guys, they just don't know the things these guys go through in preparation of a daily basic. Sometimes we did without more than what we did with. But these guys fought hard, and me and the strength conditioning coach were talking early in our meeting. Met with those guys and just talk in terms of what we need to do, and we got to have a nutrition. We got to have a nutrition table where these guys get their stuff in, Charles. It's just something that these guys need. But we're working and as coaches trying to make sure that these guys are taken care of. And it's hard sometimes, but these guys continue to fight, and they fight for us, the coaches, because we're out there trying to get them to do the right thing. So they're gonna do exactly what we tell them to do. And sometimes it's not always good. So, but we continue to put these kids on the field. Continue to play hard, continue to coach them hard each and every day, and by nature, that's what coaches are supposed to do.
Before we put a capper on the game, I want to ask you about the handshake at midfield. You and head coach Deion Sanders, and just from a personal perspective, I mean, it's good to see him out there. I mean, just from a health standpoint, I mean, he was missing for a few games. He was out there, but he wasn't. But the last couple of games that he's been out there on the sideline, good to see him out there. Just from a health standpoint, you want everyone healthy, including coaches. So it's good to see Coach Sanders out there. What was that handshake? It was a brief conversation, it seemed like.
No, it was a good conversation, and the thing was that he was telling me that just proud of the things that I'm doing for this program, and just continue to fight, and all that kind of stuff. It's just a good conversation, from Deion, and because he's a competitor, Charles. By nature, that's just the way he is, and he's gonna fight and continue to fight. He's done some great things for Jackson State University. That's just the way Deion is, and but he's gonna continue to do the things he's supposed to do, and myself, I'm gonna continue to run this program as long as I can. Charles. So the biggest thing is we just got to make sure that these young men that we mentor is taken care of from that standpoint of getting what they need to be successful. That's the biggest thing.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. A busy night on the phone line circuit. Donna joining us here on this Monday night, calling in. Good evening, Donna. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are we doing tonight?
Doing well.
Great. Well, I'm calling from the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and I just wanted to say to Coach McNair and to the staff at Alcorn, you've done an awesome job since you took over in 2016 that is. And we just wish you and the fellows continued success. And whatever you need from us, alumni, we are still here for it. This past weekend was an awesome weekend. We weren't victorious, but I feel like we are victorious because you're turning young men into men, and they will go on the next steps of their lives. So thank you very much, and continued success.
Thank you very much.
Donna.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you for your call. We really appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a break here. We got some texts and tweets to get to. Some other stuff. The Bayou Classic's going to experiment with something, Coach, that I'm sure you might be interested in terms of communication, player and coach. We'll talk about that. Some new NCAA guidance that was approved actually about a month and a half ago. Kind of held off in getting into it until now, so we'll talk about all of that coming up here. And the off season, 17 seniors, as we talked about, have played their final game. What are the needs of this football team? We'll talk about that as well. So we'll take a break. We'll unpack all of that after this.
America, land of the free. It's at the core of who we are. Freedom. The freedom to live without fear, to drive through all 50 states, to sleep safely in our own beds, the freedom to jog where we please, to watch birds in the park, to wear a hoodie, the freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because no matter your religion, gender, disability, age, race, all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
McNair program. Glad you can join us here on the Brave Sports Network. All right, Coach, let's get to the text line. And by the way, the text line will remain open throughout the whole off season. We'll be talking with Coach McNair throughout the course of the off season. So any questions, comments, texts, and tweets you can think of during the off season. You know, football never ends. It's always football season, even when it's not. Always talking football. So we'll collect those questions and comments and texts and tweets, and we'll have another McNair show down the road, and we'll catch up on some of those questions. Here's one for you, Coach. A comment. Good job, Coach, on another winning season. Kudos to your staff and players for persevering through challenging circumstances. Now, what can be done next year for us to do better in getting sacks on defense and protecting against sacks on offense?
That's part of our recruiting as well, and like I said, we'll talk about that tomorrow morning with the staff in terms of what we need to bring in terms of putting pressure on the quarterback and in terms of protecting the quarterback. You know, a lot of times a quarterback is their worst enemy as well. You know, a lot of things they can do a whole lot better. So we just got to fix those pieces. But that'll be a conversation we'll have in the morning during our staff meeting tomorrow morning.
David from Hattiesburg with a text. When you look at the upward trend that Jackson State is on, do you feel like if something doesn't change, especially when it comes to resources and facilities, that it might be difficult to keep things rolling as it's been? Personally, I've been envious as well as impressed. Of course, you know that there's only one prime time, but for 6 years, Alcorn has been the MAC of the SWAC. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, in terms of recruiting, it always visual with young men that you bring on campus, and with limited resources that we have and things that we don't have, it always affects their recruiting. When you bring kids on here, some certain things that you can do and some things that you can't do in terms of bringing these kids around the campus. So much needed for improvement on some of the facility stuff. And you know, the one big thing that I really would love is for this program to invest in some turf, some field turf, just because of the climate we have here every year, rainy days and things of that nature. That's one thing that I've been I've been going at it for years, talking about turf, and something that we really need. Either to play on or practice on, it really doesn't matter. But that will help, just in terms of having things visible for the kids. But the kids these days in recruiting, Charlie, they like to see things. And that's one thing that, whether it's material or facility-wise. So in recruiting, that always plays a positive role in the kids you could bring here on campus.
A couple of questions have come in about our schedule for next season. Are you able to share, the games that obviously we had on the road this year, returning some games, or are you able to share what the 2022 schedule looks like?
Nah, I was going to look at it tonight, Charles, but I got caught up in some more things, some issue with some of the players that came into my office tonight, and just trying to hold a discussion with them in terms of their future. But hopefully, I get a chance to visit that schedule tomorrow morning and kind of pick through it and see what we got in terms of home games and road games as well.
From the text line, will Juan Anthony return next season?
Well, that's up to Juan, and we always want the players to stay, but we can't do nothing about them if they leave, Charles. So, Juan will be a senior next year. He's one of our dynamic players, and that nature. But we expect him to return. We want him to return, but it's all about what Juan Anthony want to do right now, Charles. As any other player on the football program, in the transfer portal has been very big in terms of players going in the transfer portal. But do we want players to go in the transfer portal? No, we don't. We want to try to keep all our players, Charles, and I think that all the players that we have are very valuable to us in terms of playing. And Juan Anthony, he's a graduate and doing some good stuff for us. So, but yes, I hope he returns next year.
Mr. T from the Twitter feed, you can tweet a question anytime. I'm on Twitter, Tallman Radio. Coach, are you considering getting an offensive line coach?
No, not right now. Offensive line coach is the offensive coordinator. He plays those duties, and that's everywhere. In the conference, you have quarterback coaches, offensive coordinator. So, but offensive line coach is the offensive coordinator, Elliot Ratton. So he's been doing a phenomenal job with those guys and work with those guys, and it's all about putting the pieces together too. And he's done a good job over the course of the years, making sure that we can run the ball, we can pass the ball. So. But no, he's the offensive line coach and he's the offensive coordinator. But he's been doing a tremendous job with those guys up front.
Alexis tweets in, what can you do during the offseason to improve special teams coverage? And our comment, I think, our improvement in our interior line on both sides as we try to contend for another SWAC championship. What are your thoughts on that?
That's all in recruiting too as well, Charles. You have to go out and recruit players that want to do those kind of things. A lot of players just think they just one dimensional, but in this conference and all other conferences, you have to play some part of special teams, and you try to put the extra incentive out there. By special team is the only way some of these guys travel. By playing special teams. So you have to want to do that. That's something that's in your DNA. You have to want to do that. You have to maybe want to run out and make tackles. So we have to pick up through and find the guys that want to do that. And that's what our plans are during this off season. Of course, straighten up our whole team into where we can get better as a team.
And there was a comment that just came in the text line about offensively play calling and being aggressive. How would you characterize that this season? At times, some people felt like we weren't aggressive and really going and pushing offensively. How would you respond to that?
I think what we did offensively, we did a tremendous job. Not being so aggressive is not the case. We've been aggressive. That's why I go for it on fourth down. If that's not aggressive enough, give us a fifth down. We'll go for it on fifth down. So I don't understand the question about being aggressive in terms of what we're doing offensively. We win games and we win games. So in terms of being aggressive, that's what we've been the whole season. We don't take the foot off the pedal for anybody.
We're going to take this timeout right here. We'll come right back after this timeout. Some off-the-field notes, news and notes to talk about in terms of roster limit. And the Bayou Classic is going to experiment with something in terms of communication between the field and upstairs. We'll talk about that when we come back.
I surrender.
All right, pal.
Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
We have a gun.
Why do you ask that, kiddo?
Can I play with it?
No, absolutely not. It's not a toy. You know that. Anyway, I need it to protect you, your sister, and Mom.
But what about the 8 kids who get shot every day by mistake?
Where'd you hear that?
Where do you keep it?
It's hidden.
I bet it's on the top shelf of the closet, under your sweatshirts. Is it loaded? Remember when I found my Christmas gift? You always told me to be curious.
No, that's not what I meant.
And when it's just me and Mom, I could use the gun to protect her.
No, Justin, I promise. I'm always here for you.
But Dad, you're not always here.
So, Coach, some off-the-field news. The NCAA Division I Council, and this is about 6 weeks ago, approved a one-year waiver that will expand recruiting class signing limits, therefore allowing schools to replace student athletes that leave for the transfer portal in the first term. And a quote here, we believe schools should have temporary flexibility to address possible roster depletion due to transfers. So, Coach, how has that impacted your football team? And this was approved about 6 weeks ago. How will that positively impact, your roster, considering you're dealing with the transfer portal? It's going to be here. There's a ton of players in it. You lose players, you get players. How is this legislation? How will this help your program?
I think the biggest thing is, Charles, when you're in the transfer portal, it's like a one-year transfer ruling now, is that where you can come in and make a certain impact on a program that you're transferring to. So that's the only thing that will help. In terms of the transfer portal, the positive thing is that they can leave and they can be eligible to play right away. That's the only deal that you can get out of that. But like I said, there's a lot of players in the transfer portal that's been there since it started. And like I tell kids all the time, it's totally up to them if they want to go in the transfer portal. But understand that you still got players in the transfer portal that's been there since it kicked off, and they still waiting. So. But it's helpful. It's helpful with the roster and everything else, Charles. So you can build a team from it. But understand that you won't be recruiting those players. You just have to find out more about them once you get them. It's not like you're going into their houses or going to the school and asking questions about them. And what you have to rely on is what they tell you in the transfer portal about the kid.
How is the portal now? I mean, you got a guy like Stafford Anderson, Northwestern State transfer, Bowler. I mean, we can go on. How has the transfer portal impacted this football team over the last couple of years?
The biggest thing is with C.J. Bowler, some of the players already knew him from Purvis down there. Some guys, talked to him, and he know what Alcorn's about. He's been there. Stafford Anderson comes from Northwestern State. That's a big positive for us. This way we get a big back like him, and they can pound the ball and run as well as he ran it. So it'll help us out in so many ways. Montario Hunt come from Record. He's a sudden impact on us in the way he played through the course of the year, and hopefully next year it'll be a bigger impact on us. So those type of guys that we get out of transfer portal, some guys that we kind of been through our past before. We've seen them before. We've talked to them before. Those guys like that. Hopefully, in his early signing day in December, we'll have a couple more guys that's hit the transfer portal that we'll be able to sign coming soon.
Has Fred McNair's attitude about the portal? I know years ago it was like, we want to build a team from the ground up, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Now the portal is out there. It's busting at the seams. Some coaches believe that they believe in building a program through grad transfers, JUCOs transfers, instead of the young team from freshman to senior. Has your attitude changed about it a little bit? Because I know you, at one point in time, you really were into the whole building it from the ground up. Has it changed at all now that we've seen some of these transfers?
No, I haven't changed at all in terms of what I believe in, Charles. I believe in building it from the ground up. Where you have freshmen, you still got to have a good nucleus of freshmen coming in, and where you fall short at, when you got a freshman coming in, will he be able to come in and compete right away? And that's when you say, well, let's find a JUCO kid that can come in and play for 2 years until this freshman get ready, and hopefully he'll get ready in 1 year. And so now, in terms of what I'm trying to build from foundation up, I still need all those freshmen that can come in and play Alcorn brand of football. But every once in a while, you do want to run across one that you can get from the portal that you like, But you may not be able to get him, though, Charles. So it's a coin toss on that transfer portal deal. So the guys that we got, the transfer guy, the gravity transfer we got, we already know about those guys. The TJ Bowler, the Monterio Hunt, from the JUCOs that we crossed in the path with before. So we know about a lot of the guys that we're getting.
And the quarterback position in the SWAC's getting younger. We saw 3 freshman quarterbacks this year: Bowden of Grambling, Body of Texas Southern, and Shedeur Sanders of Jackson State. Are you seeing that quarterback position? Now, you got the veterans like Pass of Prairie View. We just saw him. Are you seeing that quarterback position in this conference getting younger, or do you still see it a veteran position?
It's going to get younger before it's all over with, Charles, because now you're going to have those guys coming in that's just the one-year hitters, that's playing that position just for 1 year. That's going to be pretty good, and leading up to your freshmen now, they're going to come in and some of them are going to be ready to play with the right coaching and things of that nature. They're ready to play now. But just the position of quarterback, you want a very knowledgeable quarterback that know the game of football.
Some other news, Coach, the Bayou Classic on the NCAA as well will test out a new NFL-style in-helmet coach-to-quarterback communication system for the Bayou Classic. That's Southern and Grambling this Saturday, according to Football Scoop. Sources say the NCAA is using the game as a test run before possibly rolling out wider use of this process. Early returns from practices have been positive. Of course, the NFL has allowed coaches to communicate directly with quarterbacks through an in-helmet radio structure since 1994, and to design one defensive player to do the same in 2008. So, Fred McNair, what do you think about that? The communication, you can communicate directly with the quarterback through the helmet. What do you think?
I'm all for it, Charles, because of the simple fact that your plays can't get stolen, your signals from the sideline can't get stolen. So I'm all for it. I played it when I was in the World League in London, from the coaches to the quarterback. It's a good system, I think. And the only thing that the downfall of it is the quarterback get hit and can't. The next play he can't hear the play. So, but it's a good thing to have. I think it's going to work out fine. And I think that some of the coaches would probably rather have that than signal plays from the sideline.
And what you see at the FBS levels, you see these curtains and stuff being thrown up where when you watch these games on TV to avoid being able to figure out some of these plays. So go figure that one out. All right, we're going to take a break here. A final timeout. We're going to look at the areas of need. We're going to break this thing down as we get ready for 2022. And some stuff to talk about, different quarterback situation than what we've had in the past. So a lot to unpack there. We'll get to that coming up.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Hey world, I have a quick message. It's about safe driving. All right, let's go. Anytime you're driving, have the seatbelt buckled tight. Both hands on the wheel and your phone out of sight. When not in your hand trying to text somebody back. Because if you do, your car might get smacked. The moral of the story, just put your phone down. The people on the road will stay safe and sound. Put your phone down, put your phone down. People on the road will stay safe and sound. Yeah.
All right, welcome back to the Fred McNair program. All right, Coach, as we've put a capper on 2021, let's look at 2022, Coach, and let's start with the quarterbacks. You talked about it a little earlier. I go all the way back to John Gibbs, a 4-year starter in this league, played for Alcorn. Of course, we know the success he had. But then, of course, John Gibbs got hurt. Lenore's Footman came in, and obviously he took the keys. Then Lenore's Footman, unfortunately, got hurt. Then Noah Johnson took the keys. Then Noah Johnson got hurt. Then Felix Harper took the keys. This is a different situation. This is a different offseason. Felix Harper took every snap. So how different will this be, and what about the competition at the quarterback position going into 2022?
It'll be a stiff competition, Charles. We got 4 guys here now that's still on the roster. That's going to be pretty good for us, I think. Trey Lawrence, Marcravian Quinn, Cole Williams. Those guys are very capable of coming in the spring and taking the reins and doing things that we need to get done in this offense. So, but we still going to recruit a quarterback. Hopefully a freshman, another freshman, or maybe another transfer kid that can come in and play that position as well.
So talk about the job that Quinn Gray, Jr., the quarterback coach, coming in the midst of everything and working with Felix Harper and the other quarterbacks. Very mild-mannered guy, but talk about the job he's done working with those guys.
Yeah, first-year coaching, coming in, doing a great job with these young quarterbacks, man. I think he did a great job with Felix and then keeping him up under his wrap and making sure he was doing the things the right way. And then just dealing with the young guys that we got on the roster and doing a tremendous job of getting them prepared for a game just in case.
Going into the season, we were wondering who was going to be the backup quarterback. We said all spring that was going to be the most intense competition was the backup quarterback position. Now the starting quarterback position in 2022, that should be a pretty, would you say, an intense competition?
It will be, Charles. I'm excited about it. And the young men know how well that we could treat the quarterbacks and make sure they're doing everything the right way. And we got a couple of guys that can get the ball out the way they should, and they spin it very well.
All right, so in the backfield, of course, Stafford Anderson, we lost him, obviously. I mean, he was tremendous for us. The Northwestern State transfer was banged up early in the season. We saw Leatherwood against Jackson State, and that brings me to the question about redshirt. What, if I'm not mistaken, is 4 games considered a redshirt season?
Yeah, you're playing more than 4 games is considered a red shirt. It's not a red shirt. If you're playing more than 4,
that's a season.
It's a season.
Okay.
But I think Leatherwood is right on the edge of that, or breaking that. But right now, I think Leatherwood's going to be a good back, and Coach Booz is still working with him on some things that he needs to know in pass pro and stuff of that nature. But he's coming along very good for a freshman. It's overwhelmed to him when they start getting the playbook thrown at him and getting them understand the concept and things we're trying to do.
What about Bolton?
Bolton, he'll be back next year. He'll be back next year. So hopefully those guys are still stay in line and come back and finish up. I think Bolton he'll graduate in the spring, so he'll be a graduate coming back. So those guys have that opportunity to do what they want to do. If they want to stay, Charles, we welcome them in. We don't want to see anybody leave, but they'll have an opportunity to. And like I said, the transfer port is big. So, but when he graduates, if he want to come back, we'll be more than welcome to have him back.
All right, so let's talk about the offensive line. You talked about it during the Jackson State game, how you had to mix and match pieces in terms of your decision making, especially on kicking that field goal. So is that one of the big areas of need up front?
I think so right now, Charles. We have a couple guys, a Kevin Freshman and Mike Moment. He haven't played steady since the Central game, getting hurt with his ankle. So he hadn't really recovered from that. He played on spurts. Then you have TJ Yarbert. He's a starting left tackle now, coming from a JUCO. You have Will Reddy that was out for the last couple games. Didn't play, and so having to replace the right tackle and the right guard. Columbus Willis will be gone. Wanya Marsh will be gone. So those guys will be gone. So just having to get those guys in pieces, and we got guys that's coming in that's going to do a pretty decent job for us. I think Coach Redden will do a great job of getting those guys ready. Just got to build more depth now than having the guy as the starter. We got a center situation. Joy, he missed practically the whole season. Joy Milburn, our starting center. But I think Darius Smith came in and did an outstanding job, phenomenal job, just hold that center spot down. So we played with him just about the whole season at center. But the biggest thing is I think we're going to go out and recruit and get some guys to come in and be able to make a sudden impact on what we're trying to build.
And you talked about it earlier. Pringle is the only one that's not coming back, obviously. So is it safe to say we've got enough receivers to get us into 2022, or are you always looking there?
We're always looking for that one more dynamic guy to play that position. But I think that what Coach Phillip has developed in those guys is a core of good receivers. And some guys are walk-on guys that have really coming of age now. Just attention to detail with a lot of them. I think he's still struggling with that, but I think he's working with them to get them to improve on their craft as well.
All right, let's talk about the defense, because at the beginning of the season, the defense was holding their own. Northwestern State, Grambling coming up with a couple of big turnovers, at least one to seal the Grambling game. But then you look at the Southern game, then you look at Bethune, then you look at Prairie View, then you look at Jackson State. I know for Coach Thornton, I know he doesn't have any hair, and I was pulling that out what little he had. How tough was it for that defense? And even though we talk about no excuses, and I was reading an article about the Saints, basically an entire unit, I don't know if it's offense or defense, was out yesterday against Philadelphia. It's not an excuse, but it's hard when you're without your entire starting unit on either side of the ball. How tough was it for the defense this year with all the moving pieces? You know, we lost Edgton, and that kind of, I thought, maybe set the wheels in motion, and we had a bunch of other injuries as well. You try to mix and match there on defense.
You know, it's always tough, especially with defense, you know, especially when you go into the season with 5 predominant starters, and then, you know, they all get hurt. Now you have to put the pieces together, and you know, Coach Thornton is a 4-3 guy, and he believes in that, and what it is, too, is it kind of ties your hand up. Now you got to run an odd front. To where you have to give guys some rest and make the pieces meet. So it was a challenge for him. I mean, my hat was off to Coach Thornton in the way he handled everything, the situation of these guys being injured and hurt, and during the course of the season. You know, Chris Monroe, he was still wobbling a little bit. You know, you had Solomon Wise, he was out there playing, but he was still banged up. You know, just the energy those guys had. We missed Ivan White for the last few games, and we just banged up a little bit on defense. And you talk about Ashton that lost his and tore his knee up in the Pine Bluff game. So when you're missing pieces like that, Cavante Key didn't play any since the Central game. So you're missing DBs, and so, you know, we have to just put pieces together, put players in spots, and they'd never played before. And so that was a challenging thing for him, and, you know, and moving Blunt down to the nickel spot. So just situation like that, I think Coach Thornton kind of mixed and matched where he had enough to play and play with a lot of effort. I think kind of summed everything up, Charles.
All right, so you look up front, you talked about that. What about the linebacker core, Coach, in the middle of that defense?
We do have some young linebackers that Coach Thornton is molding, and I think they're going to be pretty good in times. But, you know, with Cherry Lou still coming back, he'll be the anchor for that linebacker spot, and hopefully he'll be able to get more leadership with him, get him more involved in bringing these young guys up to play at the way he's played the game. So that'll be a big help for us. You know, we're losing Nakia Harron. He'll see. That's one kid that he don't have a lot of talent, but he gives it all when he play. He gives it all when he play, and he loves football. And the thing about him, he loved that we gave him a chance to play something he loved to do. So my hat's off to him. He's gonna be great. He's an agriculture major, and he's gonna be great whatever he do, Charles.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at this season as a whole, and you kind of broke it all down, special teams as far as the kickers are concerned, we're pretty solid there as far as our punting and place kicking.
Yeah, we're solid there. I think what we did this year was good, and the guys understood once I called them in and told them what I was trying to do in terms of the kicking situation. Didn't want to put too much added pressure on just one person. And I think Bo Ply done a great job of holding for extra points. He done a great job of punting the ball, and Christoph done a great job of kicking the ball off in terms of that. So, you know, I'm pretty much set in those positions. Probably get another long snapper. In, and the way we do that, we try to find a scholarship long snapper to put him on academic money. We're always good about that in terms of getting those players in like that.
So when you look at this season, Coach, in totality, I would imagine for you it's just been a roller coaster ride. I mean, just knowing talking to you every week, the challenges, you know, tough schedule. You know, you don't make any excuses. Just in your deep gut, now that the season is over, you're able to exhale a little bit. You're getting ready for 22. Have you had a chance to replay some of this stuff, you know, some of the season in the last 48 hours? And you talked about it early on, reflections of yourself. I mean, if there's anything, initial read in terms of what you might have been able to do differently, maybe for a different outcome.
You know, the biggest thing is, Charles, I did a conference call this morning at home at my house back in Collins, and the biggest thing for me as I travel back to the campus today, I just rode 84 and had a lot of time to think about stuff. And then one thing I was thinking about is me. About how I approached this game and how I approached this whole year in terms of getting these young men, these coaches ready to play. And I was just thinking about what could I have done better as a head coach to make things more, the transition more easier than we had it this year. And that's why I said evaluate myself first in terms of making sure the young coaches and the young men are getting everything they'll need. I thought about the strength conditioning coaches and the process. That's why when I got back, I met with the equipment manager. I met with the strength conditioning coach. I met with the medical staff in terms of what we have to do during the course of the off season to make the 2022 season a more successful season than the 2021 season. So all those things are running through my head as I travel back this morning to campus this morning, Charles. So, you know, when I'm painting the field, you know, I'm thinking about my next move. What if these coaches leave? What if this coach left? What's going to be my next move for in terms of my next coaches and things like that? But no, I think these guys have been very loyal to Coach McNair and the things that he's been trying to do for this program. And this is a great knitted staff I have with me, Charles. And these guys they'll go a long way in terms of trying to make sure that they're doing everything they can on the football field as coaching these kids is going to lead up to a winning program.
And you talked about the roster and the 17 seniors. So every year we kind of talk about how many scholarships you'll have available. I think one year you only had 12 because you were pretty deep. How is that looking right now, or is it too early to say?
It's too early to say right now, and that's the people that I have to meet with in compliance. And I think Javonna and Mr. Russ have done an extremely great job of letting us know how much money we can spend in terms of scholarships. So hopefully it'll be a substantial number that we can get more players and stuff like that. If not, you know, Coach McNair and the staff are very good at piecing everything together to where those kids we bring in be very pleased in terms of the money that they're getting for scholarships. So we have to just make sure that we look at the number and see what we can do and what we can't do in terms of scholarships.
People always ask about recruiting. So where's this process right now in terms of recruiting? Even Jackson State posted some players that were at the game Saturday. What's the recruiting calendar like right now here as we get ready for Thanksgiving break?
Right now we have identified some mid-year guys that we're going to sign in December, child. We do have some that's in the boat with us that's going to sign early. You know, so that's the biggest thing, getting early signees in. Whether it's a high school kid is just going to come out of high school early, making sure he's signed. The JUCO kids, or either maybe a transfer or two, make sure they're signed. We got eyes on a couple of JUCO players. They can come in and make us a good impact on this program right now as well. So for what we're doing, I think as coaches, then we'll get out and hit the bushes and see what's shaking. We can shake some loose. We have probably a visit weekend on December 4th, hopefully.
And I look at this season, Coach, and people say, well, what we're not doing, this and that, injuries, all that. But can we also say that, you know what, some teams in this league are just getting better? I mean, just the days of, you know, as you talked about all year, you just can't circle a team on your calendar and say, we got this one, we got that one. Teams in this league are getting better. Texas Southern's getting better. We know at Jackson State, Prairie View, Southern. I mean, teams are getting better in this conference.
So they are, Charles, and every team is getting better. They're getting coached better. They're getting better coaches and things of that nature. So, you know, we're trying to, you know, make sure that we're doing the same thing as in terms of going out recruiting some of the best players. You know, finding that diamond in the rough player to where he can come in and make a sudden impact on what we're trying to do here at Alcorn. So, you know, we got to go out and recruit, and the coaches know we got to go out and find some guys that's going to come in and play for us right away.
Final thoughts here before we get out of here. Jackson State preview. Won't ask you who's going to win the game, but just your thoughts of the game overall. You got a veteran quarterback and pass, a Louisville transfer versus the freshman and Shedeur Sanders. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
I think it's going to be a great matchup, Charles, and considering what Jackson State going to bring to the table, they're playing at home. Preview is very passionate about what they do. I think Coach Dooley's going to have those guys wrapped up, ready to go, and Coach Dooley got a pretty good offense and a defense as well. So just put those pieces together. I think it'll be a pretty good ball game.
The AMU in the FCS playoffs, I was on a couple of podcasts. I remember in 92 and 94, Youngstown State, Northeast Louisiana University, now Louisiana Monroe. I love the FCS playoffs. The commissioners talked about in terms of the lack of financial incentive, but the AMU's in it, and they're playing at Southeast Louisiana at Strawberry Stadium. Your thoughts there?
Yeah, and Coach Simmons is a great coach, and he's been here before as offensive coordinator, and he always talked about playing the FCS playoff. He always talked about that. From the time he got here, until the time he left, he's a competitor. He want to be in those kind of games, and the biggest thing is, they'll go down to Southeastern and play, and they got a chance to win.
Yeah,
got a chance to win. They got a good program down there in Southeast Louisiana, so he got a chance to go in the FCS playoff and make some noise, Charles. And that's one thing I like about him. He's gonna go in and compete. He's done a great job since he's been at FAM, bringing that program back around to light. Winning his first Orange Blossom Classic, against Bethune. Since he been there, so Bethune been on a like a 9-something run ever since they've been playing that classic down there. So he got a chance to win that this year. So he's doing a great job. He's gonna do well in the playoff.
There's some postseason football, and then we got a couple of regular season games left. You got Prairie View and Valley, and then you got the Bayou Classic. That should be fun. Well, Coach, I'm gonna say this. It's been fun for the last 6 years winning this. And yes, it's disappointing. I'm like every Braves fan. I'm disappointed. But you know what? I had to take a deep breath, and you talk about your reflections driving on Highway 84, and that's a great road to do some reflection.
Exactly right.
It is. But, I said this. I'm just grateful and appreciative of the 6 that we won, because there are teams that haven't been where we've been. And I think that winning 6 division titles in a row, I don't think Alabama's going to do that. I think what we just witnessed and what we dealt with won't be done again at any level, SWAC or FBS. I don't see it happening. I mean, it was a great run. Disappointed we didn't get there for number 7, but I'm grateful for the 6.
Yeah, it's always tough to win one, Charles. You talk about 6 of them, it's unheard of. And like you said, I don't think that'll ever be done again.
Yeah.
This competitive league, and that's the way it is. So we have to just remember the things that we've done in the past a lot of times, and reflect on that a lot of times, as well as what we're trying to do now. But we can come back from it. We can bounce back from it in 2022. That's our intention as a coaching staff, to get back on that same road again, to compete for another. It won't be an Eastern Division title; it'll be a Western Division title. So we can do that. I think this team is ramped up, and we'll go out and find some players to come in and help us right away, and get back to where our status was.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate it. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and looking forward to doing it again.
It's been great, Charles, and go Braves.
Want to thank head coach Fred McNair. Each and every week was out here grinding it out. Win, lose, or draw, as they say, was here and was ready for his show and talking about it all. Want to thank our great stations, 91.7 WPRL and WPRL.org. My assistant, the one and only Jay Miles, our producer on the radio side, Jamario Brooks, administrative assistant Myrtle Hedrick. My video producer, I was kind of leery of doing this Facebook stuff, doing it live. Cedric Tillman, you don't see him, but he's over to my right. Terrific job. The one and only. There's only one person I would call to do any video production of this magnitude, and that's Cedric Tillman. We did have a backdrop, by the way. A lot of folks were talking about that. We had a backdrop ready, but it didn't meet our standards, so we took it down. We'll revamp, we'll regroup, and retool, and we'll have one definitely to begin the 2022 season. So that'll do it for the Fred McNair program. You can watch a lot of these episodes on the WPRL Facebook page. We'll have them up for you, including this one, as we talk about 2021 and look ahead to 2022. Fred McNair broke it down for us, offense, defense, and special teams, what we can expect for the upcoming season. That'll do it for the Fred McNair program. I'm Charles Edmond. Glad you can join us right here on the Braves Sports Network. So long.